Good morning, everyone, or good evening, depending on where you are. Unlike the legend that is Sean McCulloch, that should be in bed, but he has been kind enough to stay up for us to deep dive this masterpiece of an album. Good morning, early morning for you, Sean. How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on here. We were talking before this, and you know this is where I thrive in the late night. So
You are a late night legend, I think, is actually the name that you've been dubbed on Twitch. Also, for anybody, thank you so much for everyone. It's really early here in the UK and very late where Sean is. So, Sean has actually started streaming as well. It's very funny. I watched something with Shrek. And I mean, what more do I need to say? So, if you can, please go follow Sean because streams are amazing. Very funny and plays Destiny as well. So, gotta do
fun
it.
stuff. Thanks, man.
A pleasure. So we are here to deep dive. Finally, I say finally because I felt like me personally waited for this album for so long. Obviously, Dark Flag, was it 2017?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what was the goal for you guys? Was it to put out kind of not really more of the same, but what efforts did you want to try and improve on? Or do you want to just make the biggest riff fest ever?
For the fire itself, that's what we're. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what
the
we're
fire
talking about.
itself. Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, the follow
All
up
right. No,
to
no, 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 no. That makes sense. I got lost in the sauce. I apologize. Yo, no, man. We kind of wanted to get back to our roots of you know, writing riffs and making the riffs like okay, like any metalcore fan can like guitar driven metalcore fan. It's like the riff is super important. The riff's super important to us as well. And there are so many songs where like it'll start off with a riff and you immediately know what song it is, what band it is, how you heard it. You get those nostalgia feelings of like remembering where you were when you first heard how sick this riff is type of thing. Like that's something that we really wanted to like try and achieve. You know what I mean? Like this nostalgic sound that's still while still keeping it fresh and keeping it uh, us, you
yeah,
know. So
yeah,
there was a lot of dives back into the God Machine. There was a dive back into the last word is yours to speak, and you know there's some other songs on there as well that I think kind of emulate till the end or Dark Flag as well. So um, feel like although it's all metalcore, you know, save for like the ballad track, like I'm pretty pumped with like what we ended up coming up with. So
yeah. I mean, as I mean, we'll get onto it. But when I was doing my first listen at midnight when it dropped, I never. I'll just mention Thorns, but I know everybody will know there's a little section in Thorns when I heard it during the chorus, which is kind of like a callback to an older album. Yeah, and I
mhm.
kind of lost my little metalcore brain.
That's
But
awesome.
I mean, just look. I mean, let's go on to track one, "Eternally Apart." This song is so good for me. It could even be like the album closer. It feels like it, and it's that good. It goes first. Um, yeah, this song is done insane. It's well over like 1 million streams, and that's awesome. Was one thing I always like to ask when we do like deep dives is was
Mhm.
the track listing like meticulous, or did it kind of just fall into place naturally, or was it something that you were all really keen on, getting down?
Um, we definitely spent like a week putting together the track list. It was a very meticulous process, and you know, there's the practical approach of all the keys that the songs are in. We want to, you know, keep it fresh so it doesn't, you know, none of it bleeds together or whatever. But and if it does bleed together, it's intentional type of thing, you know.
Yeah,
Um, so there's that practical approach of the keys of the songs, whether the song has a guitar solo or not. Like we wanted to keep we didn't want to put the ballad last because we felt like going into it, like all of us were talking about Eternally Apart or In the Night as the opener, closer. Those were always going to be the opener and the closer.
Yeah.
We just didn't know which one was going to go which. And so, I mean, I hope it doesn't like kill any of the magic by me telling you this, but like
Absolutely
it was actually
not.
okay. It was a compromise between bandmates to put Eternally Apart first. Eternally Apart was always the opener in my mind, and is well, not always the opener in Dan's mind, but like after hearing the song like vocally, whenever we finished tracking vocals for it, he was like, this has to be the opener. And then the other guys are getting the previews and whatnot as we're recording and whatnot, and they're like, oh yeah. In the Night is definitely the opener. And so it was 2 versus 2. And the only way that we could really work it out was Dan and I got Eternally Apart being the first song on the album if In the Night was the first single released.
That's a nice little bit of business, metalcore business right there.
That was the only way we would both agree, because both sides were so stubborn in that choice.
I find that kind of Isaiah, I like beans. Good to see you here, dude, as well. We'll get onto your machine gun drumming very shortly. I was almost like, because we all waited so long, like 4 years for the next Phinehas track, when, I mean, we'll get onto when the single, but I almost couldn't believe that In the Night was kind of followed up by Eternally Apart. It was just, Eternally Apart was the second single, wasn't it? Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my, yep. Just insane. So the song itself, nice little pun there leading into it. What is, because it's a very powerful song lyrically, what was some of the things it touches on?
Intimacy, and I would say things around the world are pretty not laid back in general.
Yeah.
If you say something that somebody disagrees with, they will let you know, and they will do their best to ruin your life.
Absolutely.
And it goes both ways, both all sides of the spectrum. This is not me taking a political stance or anything like that. It's just a statement on like what I believe to be bigger than politics, and that's people.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, seeing people go through it, basically, take it off the shins when something from 10 years ago gets brought up, or it's just incredible. It's so, and I mean incredible in that it's like shocking, like there's so many programs and apps and ways that we can connect. Like us doing this, man, this is so freaking sick. This is sick.
It really is.
Like, this is so cool, man.
It
like
is.
How many miles apart are we right now?
Dude, I wouldn't.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
It's pretty wild, right? And we're about to listen to this album together, and like, I think that this is going to be like, not just a cool thing, but like, I hope we can talk and take this beyond just the stream thing, because this is. I hope that's. Because that's the purpose of this. It's the purpose of Twitch, the purpose of Discord, the purpose of all of this stuff is to bring people together, right?
I couldn't say it better myself. Absolutely.
When Twitter was initially, created, it's like a way to keep up with your friends, right? And it's a way to like keep you in the loop, and like you can check up on your buddies, know every single thought that they're having, right? And it's just how twisted has it become already in the short time that, like, relatively to like how long humans have been on Earth, right? How quickly do these really awesome things take a just drastic turn? And I'm not saying it's all bad, because there's awesome things, like I said, like this, but um I think that it's just interesting with all of the things that are meant for us to be brought together and brought closer, how all of us are drifting further and further away.
Like, absolutely nail on the head, dude. Like, it's like you say, there's so many amazing things like this. This is, I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it, this is like a dream for me. This is amazing, but there's so much.
It's awesome.
There's so much poison and horrible sides to this amazing gift we've been given as well. So I completely agree. I completely agree. Let's do it then. Thank you so much everyone for being here as well. Amazing. I love how like worldwide this is. Isaiah, thank you so much for being here. It's 3 a.m. for me. What a legend. Let's do it. This is Eternally Apart, and then we'll move on to title track. Any questions for Sean? Get them in the chat. Let's go.
My kid broke this acoustic guitar, by the way.
This is why we do deep dives. I love that. I mean, wow. I hope everyone is suitably warmed up. Haha, the fire puns won't stop coming, sorry. Incredible. Thank you, honestly, everybody for being here as well. It's insane. It's my legs hurt. I'm not sure. I'm not surprised, dude. Absolute machine gun. Absolutely insane. So up next, title track itself, and we all know how important a title track metalcore song is. Tell us some stories about this track.
Okay. Well, so first off, I'm a huge fantasy like buff, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know about buff, but I just love all things like creatively when it comes to like I don't know, Lord of the Rings and all that.
Yeah,
you know?
I get
that entire genre. Oh my gosh. So the fire itself, I mean, I had heard it years ago. It's this that gone through and read multiple times. It's a book called The Name of the Wind.
Right.
And it's by a guy named Patrick Rothfuss. And I can actually pull up the exact quote, but
Awesome.
But yeah, like all things fantasy, dude. It makes me happy.
Same, dude.
So, if I can find it and not be a total drag.
What would you might like to know is that Lisa, my mod in chat, is also a fantasy novel writer, and she brought her first book out.
No way.
Called Incipient/Year, and everyone should read it. It's absolutely amazing.
Dude, I'm putting that in my notes.
That is amazing. That is the best thing I've heard.
I'm gonna read that.
Hell yeah.
That's really cool.
It is cool, and it's an amazing book.
Okay. I apologize, just a little. Okay, here we go. All right. So the quote goes, it's from the perspective of the main character, okay, and he is having a conversation with his teacher about learning a magic system.
Okay.
And in this world, names mean more than just what you call something by. When you have the true name of something, you have power over that thing. Okay?
Okay.
And this kind of explains that concept. Okay. What color is that boy's shirt? Blue. What do you mean by blue? Describe it. I struggled for a moment. Failed. So blue is a name. Blue is a word. Words are pale shadows of forgotten names. As names have power, words have power. Words can light fires in the minds of men. Words can wring tears from the hardest hearts. There are 7 words that will make a person love you. There are 10 words that will break a strong man's will. But a word is nothing but a painting of a fire. A name is the fire itself.
That is so cool. What is that book called again, Sean?
It's called The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss.
I love that. I'm definitely going to read that. That's so cool. This is why I love deep dives, honestly. It's so cool.
So I definitely recommend the book. Just be prepared, because we've all been waiting for the 3rd and final installment of
it's one of those series,
book.
is it?
Yeah, for like a decade. It's so, but they're both the books. Okay, the 2 books that are out are incredible, and I still recommend them.
It's kind of like a George R.R. Martin thing, which is, what was that, 25 years? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
He's writing it now.
Yeah.
Oh, so the 3rd book is still being written.
Yeah, it's still in progress.
Awesome.
According to him, but definitely the first 2 books are worth a read. He has a really unique way of writing, and anyways, but the way so the fire itself, he's kind of commandeering that from Mark Twain, who also had a quote that meant relatively the same thing as well.
Right.
That, you know, a name is like the true being of something. And to me, this song, it was the first song actually that Dan sent over. He was like, "Hey, we should make use of this time during the pandemic to write a record," And heard this song instrumentally, and I was like, "Dude, I just see trees at night burning," and was just like, man, I've always wanted to like. Cause it's tough if you're gonna take like a quote from an author, you know what I mean? Like you gotta like do it justice in a song. You
Of
can't just
course.
use it
Yeah.
as like a throwaway line, you know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
gotta get proper credit too. But like, um, it's the fire itself to me is finding my true name, and that's what this whole I felt like as I was writing the lyrics, like that's what I wanted to go for. Is 'cause at the time I had been um, in therapy for a while for a lot of stuff that had kind of transpired in my extended family and immediate as well, and it was a very hard time of life. Now, granted, I know everybody in the year of 2020 had the worst of it. You know,
Yeah.
um, it was everything sucked, right?
It did.
So, anyways, I just it exacerbated some issues that I know I had, um, and before then was able to keep busy enough to ignore and get by. So when when the pandemic hit and uh, basically, crap hit the fan,
Yeah.
uh, it was very hard. And I had to, coming out of that, I had to really rethink about who I want to be for the rest of my life, the type of husband that I want to be, and the type of father that I want to be. And I mean, it just realigns priorities. It realigns, um, and it's a painful thing. It's a painful thing because you're ripping these things out of where they were, and like, and you're making space in yourself for other things, and you're trying to find yourself. And so, I don't mean to be too long-winded, but the
That's the
the
purpose of
ba-
deep dive, buddy.
gotcha.
Explain away.
So yeah, the fire itself, and specifically the opening line, bind myself to the fire of hell. I have to burn to become the fire itself. So basically, the idea is that like actually doing soul seeking and being honest with yourself is going to be painful as hell. You're going to burn.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was at. That's where I was at, and that's where I was fighting to be, and that's where I'm still fighting to be.
Of
That's not
course.
something that like I achieved it. Like no, that's a lifelong goal. Is to feel comfortable in my own skin and to not hate the person staring back at me when I look in the mirror.
Yeah.
So it's it's a lifelong thing, and but at the time with what I was going through, I was like, man, I gotta get a hold of this. I gotta figure this out, because if I don't, then there could potentially be a lot of harmful things that I pass down to my son. You know, so so it's the realigning of everything and the pulling apart and sewing back together, and feeling like you're burning the entire time. It can feel like hell. So,
Well, thank you, for your honesty, dude. Going into it, it means a lot, and I'm sure after the year or 2 years now, amazingly, that everyone's had, a lot of people can, relate. But I think you've made something quite amazing, and you should be proud. You should be proud of it. Let's go into the fire itself. Again, any questions for Sean about anything to do with the album or anything? Get them in chat, and we'll ask him at the end. This is the fire itself. Title track, done it. Achievement unlocked. Incredible. So much love. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a chat with so much love for a band. I love it so much. Track 3 up next, which is,
sorry about that. I didn't realize it was going to make a noise.
Oh, I didn't hear anything, dude. We're all good.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, sick. Maybe it's just on my end. It was making a noise when I muted. I cut you off. I apologize.
No, it's all good, dude. I think up next, Thorns is my favourite track on it. I mean, I've been at war with myself for the past however long since it's released, trying to. Sorry, I live near an airport, so if you keep hearing planes, tell us about Thorns, because, like I was saying earlier, when first listened to the album, waited till midnight and got to track 3, and I heard the nice little throwback to Crowns, I kind of lost my little Phinehas metalcore head. Absolutely incredible. Well, obviously it ties in, I think, especially with the title of the song. So tell us why you. I mean, I love throwbacks to old songs.
So we had kind of done a sequel song in the past. Kind of, it's like a more of like an Easter egg than it is an actual single or proper single. Or sorry, not single. Sequel. I'm trying to say sequel.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to. So like Wishing Well from the God Machine, and then on The Last Word Is Yours to Speak. WW2 was actually Wishing Well 2 whenever we first like kind of thought of it, or thought of writing something along those lines. So, but they sound nothing like each other and have nothing related to each other musically or lyrically, so it's not really a true sequel. With Thorns, like I said earlier, like we wanted to dive into our roots while keeping it fresh, and there's the very like procedural side of writing that song, where like I wanted to write a song that had the same type of feeling that Crowns gives you, like upon first impact, but make it different and throw a twist to it, and that happened to be the swing of the song. So it's in 6/8, although I'm sure Isaiah would say, "Yo, dude, it's in 4/4, but it's played in triplets," which I defer to him. But yeah, so just tooling around on it, because and this is interesting. This will probably be more about the music side of things as well, because the songs. See, scale wise and everything, take out the rhythm of it, and the fact that it's in a different time signature, or at least a different feel, if you will. The music's very similar, and we did it on purpose because we wanted to do a tip of the cap. And it was literally after the first riff, like writing the first riff, I texted Dan and I was like, I have this riff. I want to make it a sequel to Crowns, and I just came up with the best name for it, Thorns. And that was a song that I always knew what it was going to be about. Like whenever, and this is back in 2018.
Wow. Okay.
So, and that'll happen from time to time, with songs. I'll have these riffs that are from like years ago. I think there's a song, Holy Coward. It has a riff that I wrote in 2009.
That's so cool.
Like, it was just like, hey, maybe this is the time to use it. Played it, and Dan was like, yeah, let's do it. and then Dan came in, threw a little tag on it, and that ended up turning out pretty cool. So, okay, back to Thorns. Lyrically, the song pretty much mirrors Crowns in a lot of ways. Okay, it's using a lot of the same language and phrases and whatnot, but It's from the perspective of a quote king of Earth who has lost his crown. So drawing from that, and also drawing from the overall inspiration from the record, where I'm not like I the song this whole album is very personal to me, so I feel like I was writing it about myself, but please don't mistake me in thinking that I think I'm a king of Earth. It's more of just a
That's just your fantasy love coming out.
exactly. It's you know, it's more of a phrase meaning my pride, you know,
Yeah.
um, that I have been completely broken. I feel like I had everything and then just watched it dissolve in my fingertips, you know? And so, coming out of that and on the other side of that, like, how does that relate to my relationships? And how does that relate to uh, my faith? And how does that relate to how I'm going to carry myself out from here on out? Like after losing or coming close to losing everything, um, I think that struggling with trust is at the top of the list.
Yeah.
it's it's and not just like, you know, trusting a friend or trusting my family or whatever, but like, you know, I mean it's well documented, like, you know, that that we believe in God. You know, we believe in a God.
Of course.
Um and So for me, it had me questioning that, and it had me questioning a lot. And a lot of this record is about that. And I think it's okay to struggle with faith, and I have no problem admitting that. But, you know, trust requires thorns. It's like I gotta open myself up to potential loss, potentially losing everything. Like for real.
Yeah.
I have to open myself up to that if I'm actually going to trust again, if I'm actually going to uh, continue believing what I believe. So, um, and then you know, the throwback to crowns, it's kind of, at least when we chose, I mean, it made sense for the part
I was
as
gonna.
far as like the lyrics and stuff.
I was gonna ask that. Was that always going to be the section that you were kind of going to call back to, or was that always the section? I mean, it does fit perfectly at that section and with the lyrics, but was it always that part of Crowns originally that you were going to put in?
I think so, yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't, you know, I don't know how it happens to where things like connect, you know,
Yeah.
over the course of literally 10 years, you know, and it's this it's kind of wild to think about, man. Like 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, we wrote Crowns, right? And I tracked those vocals over 10 years ago, and now coming into 2021, Thorns, and it's using 'cause I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I was so much more hopeful back then. I
But
was, you know,
I think that's the
I
same for everybody. Youth, you are. I mean, in
right,
youth, you are so hopeful of pretty much everything, aren't you? And that does start to. Well, maybe not for everyone, but I think it does kind of diminish as you grow older and wiser.
right, and no, you're. I mean, the more you get hurt too. So it's a
Absolutely.
lot. 10 years is a long time to, you know, potentially get hurt in. You know, but like those lyrics from Crowns, like it's almost like a reminder of how hopeful I was, how non cynical I was, and how just open to everything. You know. just, yeah, you know, and now it's like, it's just weird how like that line where it's talking of, you know, providence laid out before us, Father's arms reaching out. It's like, that's the main thing that I struggle with, is believing like, is this actually providential that you know, my marriage was struggling like very badly? Is that providential? Is that what God had for me? Like going through that pain?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I want to trust somebody who lays that out for me. Right? And it's tough because there's so many different ways you can think about it, and avenues you can go down as far as that goes. Like, oh, well, he's testing you. And it's like, yeah, well, it's a crappy test. That's a terrible test.
Yeah.
That's terrible to do to somebody, you know? And like, just being blunt, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And that line is kind of almost like, you can take it as like the one breath of like hope in the entire song, or you can take it as completely mocking. You know what I mean? So that's it's just weird how it like connected. So
That, I mean,
it ended up working, and you know, maybe that's proving that something's providential in itself, you know. So
just the track between it, the track Crowns to Thorns. I think obviously now you're giving that insight to it. Just the tracks itself kind of explain that journey as well of life. Amazing. Let's go. This is track 3, Thorns. Also, this riff. Oh. Oh. Wow, that track, honestly, I love it so much. So does the chat. The circle pit that erupted in the chat as well was very entertaining. Um, War You Know is up next.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think we haven't really like to say. I think it's kind of like a hallmark of Phinehas. We haven't really touched base on the absolute monster riffs and maybe the instrumental side that obviously Dan and Isaiah and everyone else brings. Are you like you write the riffs as well, don't you, Sean?
Yeah. Dan and I Dan and I split it pretty much.
Awesome.
So
And did you come up with the intro riff to Thorns, or was that?
I did.
Oh, dude, it's one of the best riffs I've ever heard. No joke. When that hit for the first time, it's Pal writing the kisser. It's one of those moments.
That's awesome, man.
What
Okay, dig it.
what are some things you can tell us about War You Know?
War You Know was actually written, my knowledge anyways, was written drums first,
Ooh.
with the drums first approach. And that song was finished in close to like a day. Isaiah had flown out to California to join Dan and I at, it was a Friday night or a Saturday night. I can't remember which. I believe it had to have been the Friday. And then I think I went back on Saturday as well. But it was like every week, every Friday from like 8 o'clock at night until about 4 a.m. We were working on this thing.
That's
So,
amazing.
and it was a very long time, months and months of doing this and rehashing parts and, you know, um, sending over ideas and that type of stuff. So, but yeah, so that was discussed primarily between Isaiah and Dan for War You Know. You know, like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to take this approach. And there were a couple of different approaches that Dan implemented on songs that he principally wrote. Um, you know, that I thought was pretty cool. So, just in terms of keeping structure while trying to keep it fresh and um, you know, taking different approaches to writing songs. So Isaiah had a massive hand in this track specifically with the dynamics of it and the patterns of it and overall feel and how aggressive it is. Because this song to me is like, if we were to ever play this song live, like I'd like, I mean, I don't want anybody to get hurt, but like I
Responsibly, yeah.
like I at least want to hear a story about somebody getting kicked in the face, you know, and then they're like, oh yeah, but he was fine though, you know,
Oh yeah.
that type of thing. So, um, but yeah, so that's basically it. And I mean, when it comes to certain parts of the song, you know, vocal call outs or whatever else, like Dan and I really bounce ideas off each other. Like, you know, we hadn't done a vocal call out like the middle breakdown of this song, I don't think ever. And it's like one of my favorite parts of the album, just because when it comes in, I feel like it just kicks you right.
Get hurt
Yeah.
responsibly.
Yeah, I feel like it kicks, you know, it's a kick to the groin. But as far as lyrically for this song, I think probably the biggest thing is just the biggest thing for me, like in the entire lyrical process, and I'm kind of weird with it. Like I like making lists and seeing everything laid out in front of me. And I started off with just um, words or like a couple of words as an idea. And I literally had like 30 of them, 30 different directions. and this is how I'm feeling, basically. And this is something that I want to write about at some point, And I think The War You Know is more about, I wanted to describe, how I felt, and but also, I mean, I guess there is a little bit of a hopeful message in this song, which I guess I feel like I've harped on how negative this album has been, but this song has a little bit of a positive message to it, and that, like, and also I have to believe this in order to keep myself sane,
Of
is that
course.
things will work out the way that they're supposed to be, and to continue fighting. And it sounds so cliche. It sounds so overdone, right? That whole idea. But when you feel like you're in the middle of the trenches, it's very real.
Yeah.
It's very real, and it's very. It's hard to see that other side, and relating it to, like, an actual, like, battle or something like that, where, like, you don't know if it's going to work out, but you have to believe in order to stay sane,
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I mean, you fight until you can't stand up straight, like every sunrise is your final day. That's
I mean, that's
pretty much
yeah. That's
that's the entire song to me.
that's. I mean, perfect snippet of what this song is. This is track 4. War You Know. No, that's Thorns. This is War You Know.
There's another facet
I'm glad to see everybody got punched responsibly there. I mean, that middle section that you were talking about, it's so powerful. So good. Um,
Dude.
Amazing. Up next is track 5, Defining Moments. What can you tell us about this one?
So this one was pretty much all Dan. This was kind of along the lines of like a Forever West for us. Wanted to go in that vein. Um, you know, he is a consistent well of riffs, and I don't know. I love this song. I love this song. This is one of my favorites on the album. Just I don't know. Like when it came to writing lyrics to it, um, I think for me, I really wanted to pass this song on as a as a lesson for my son. Uh, like I mean, he's 3 right now, but wanted to write something where he could, on down the line, potentially get something from it, and hopefully not fall into the same false ideas of what love actually is that I did, you know, or fall into the same like wishy-washy faith that I fell into, but to understand that it means a lot more to love than to just be happy. Um, Love is about persevering through this, through the worst of the worst. Um, and faith, you say you have faith in something, and when things don't go your way, and this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, as far as like trusting and whatnot. Like, oh, there we go. Sorry, I don't know why that happened.
Oh, it's okay. Discord thing.
Um, if you say you have faith in something, and the moment something bad happens, your values take a complete 180, then we need to reevaluate, you know, the reasons why you claim to believe what you believe, right? And like this is I'm saying this as somebody who's like very convicted by this, and very it felt very like I can't believe, you know. It's this weird like almost guilt, and I don't think that a God would have that for me either, to feel guilty about like struggling or whatever. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm kind of getting off the rails here. So, like, there's sometimes where you just gotta stop me, Johnny.
No,
But I think that faith is so much more than just saying something and doing what's expected of you. It's and same with love. It's about doing what's not expected of you. It's about persevering. And I think I wanted to pass that on to my son,
yeah.
and specifically the chorus lines and the breakdown call outs. And I mean, I love the verses as well. It's just, when you go into writing songs, you try and, condense an entire, 3 paragraphs into 2 lines. And that ends up being the chorus, right? So,
Exactly.
it's, yeah, I mean, Oh, also, there's a huge throwback to when I first joined the band in 2007 in this song. There's an actual line that I commandeered for it. And that's the line: "You have something to give, not just something to take."
Oh wow, that's
That's
like,
a sorry.
no, I was just saying that is again that's really cool. Also, night Isaiah. Isaiah says, "I love you, Sean. Appreciate you. Good night, sir. Thank you so much for what is it like 5 in the morning wherever you are. Thank you very
That,
much." And also, someone makes a good
w-
point. It's not a deep dive if you don't go deep, Sean. So you
that's
you
true.
you
That's true.
you say what you want to say. We're honestly just really thankful that you're being so open and honest. I think it's really beautiful. Especially, I think it's amazing how you, like you said, you've left kind of a little something on the album for your son to maybe go to uh, down the line. I think that's honestly amazing. I absolutely love that.
Well,
Um,
thanks. Um,
Amazing. Have you got anything else to say
yeah,
about defining moments?
I do. So, that song that I took a line from, in 2007, it was one of those songs that I had to learn in order to like start singing with the band, um, whenever I joined. The song's called Unity. Um, and I have that tattooed on my left shin. And it's very important to me because I remember when I first heard that lyric and it just like hit me like a ton of bricks. Um, because at least in believing in God and like witnessing church and like how wishy-washy people can be, like one day you're in it, you're feeling it, and you're feeling good, so you're gonna say all the right things, and you're gonna just be so positive or whatever else, and but then as soon as things go bad, it's like, yo, there's a part of that there's a part of that pain, like you have to give your pain, like you have to take your own, because it's I don't know how to accurately describe what's in my head right now other than just saying, I guess, for anything beautiful in life, like there will be pain that comes with it because it can't be completely free. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but believing what I believe, like, oh, it's a free gift, and a lot of pastors will say that or whatever. It's a free gift of grace, and it is to a certain extent because you go through a lot because of it, and a lot of it is painful. And the same with marriages. It's like it's not all roses,
Of course.
right? There's going to be pain that comes with it. Is it one of the most beautiful things in the world? Yes. Is it one of the most painful things in the world? Yes. All of these things. And so if you think that you can just take the beauty from it and keep it for yourself without giving yourself over to pain at some point, it's still, you know, it's not going to work out, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm getting at with that line.
I it
You know,
completely makes
that's where
sense. I completely
that
understand.
I'm sorry, I didn't write the line, but that's like where my head goes whenever I think of that line. Is that like in evangelical Christianity, it's not a transaction. It's God's just giving you this gift of grace or something like that, right? But I think it's more transactional, like at least on a day-to-day basis than what they actually lead you to believe, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like there's a lot of pain that comes with it and a lot of struggle that comes with it. So,
of course. Okay, let's go. This is track 5, Defining Moments. Keep the questions coming for Sean if you have any. It's just amazing. Deep dive, delivering everything. A lot of love for this. Thank you so much. And again, Sean, thank you so much for doing this, dude. It really is. It is a dream for me. It's amazing.
That's so cool, man. Well, thanks for having me. This is fun.
Thank you for. Is it like 3 your time? You really do thrive in the night. Oh, there's another pun.
Nice.
Thank you. That's my best yet, if I'm being honest. Up next is Holy Coward featuring CJ. Let's go on to that one, because I think this is mean, this is the only feature, I think, isn't it, on this album?
Yeah.
What? How did that one come about?
So CJ plays guitar uh, in a band called Tethra. Incredible metalcore. Incredible metalcore. Okay. But the band that he just like, oh man, him and one of our other good buddies, Chris Kelly, and actually a guy who mixed and mastered this record, Grant McFarlane, play in another band called Galactic Empire.
So such a cool band as well.
Very sick.
Yeah.
Very freaking cool.
Star Wars metal for anybody that is unaware.
They're insane. I still remember when Chris Kelly posted that first video on Facebook, and I shared it, and I think I like either texted him or messaged him like, this is going to blow up, right? And like by the end of the day it had like 10,000 shares, like talking like hundreds of thousands of views, like incredible. Anyways, yeah, Grant McFarlane's crazy too. Like all those guys are just like incredible at their instruments. Anyways, CJ's a really cool guy. CJ's a really cool guy. Gotten to have a couple of conversations with him. And Dan knows him better than I do, but yeah, it kind of came about like we were just trying to think of people, who'd be down to do some type of feature, and the go-to feature is always a vocal feature, and it's for us like, and I mean even me as a vocalist, like vocal features are cool, but like at least in our world or brand of like guitar driven metalcore, like, man, I want to hear somebody rip. I want to hear somebody just shred.
I agree.
And I think that comes from like, yeah, like Dan and I split the guitar parts pretty much. Like not the guitar parts, but more so the songs themselves. We'll each principally write pretty much an even amount. And yeah. Anyways, so CJ, Dan hit him up, and he was like, "Hell yeah!" So it ended up working out, and ended up, man, like it was him featuring on this, or potentially on. I'm trying to remember the other song. It might have been In the Night. Or it might have been. It might have even pitched Thorns to him. But all that aside, like we ended up landing on Holy Coward because it has 2 guitar solos. And like, yeah, Dan, you shred the first one, and then we'll have CJ like shred the long one. We wanted it to be a long solo, which
So
I mean,
cool.
even. Relatively to like a lot of the metal world, it's not a long solo, but for our stuff, like it's a pretty long solo.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure that it wasn't just a in out type of thing. But yeah, no, so the chorus riff for this song is one of my all-time favorite riffs that I've ever wrote. I wanted it to be a thrash, like almost like a thrash, like an ode to thrash.
It is very thrashy.
And like obviously within the confines of like what we do,
Yeah.
So it was very fun. But I just knew I didn't even know going into like tracking it with Dan, like, hey, this is this is played on this fret, this is played on that fret. I just knew a general key. I mean, drop C, it's not that super complicated. as far as that goes. But you know, the voicings of the guitar need to change whenever you're writing a thrash song. Like, you're not just gonna be chugging on your normal breakdown chords or whatever. You know, you gotta, if you're gonna do a chug breakdown, then you better make sure that it's on the single string so it sounds metal as hell.
Yeah.
You know, or if you're playing chords, you know, you're gonna play them higher up on the neck. You know. Anyways, like, I had like the little tagline for the verses and a general idea of what I wanted it to do. I knew that I wanted it to like kind of modulate into a little what would that be, like G Phrygian? I mean, it sounds super complicated. Basically, it's just like, it's what everybody has done in music for like since the beginning of time. Is they'll be writing on a major or a minor, a minor or a major, and then they'll go up a fifth for kind of like a key change to then go back to the same exact scale that they were in before, and just the way all the tones and whatever, you know, mesh together, it sounds like a drop, but it's in the same key. It's fascinating to me. I love music theory. But and the second verse, because we kind of formatted it kind of in the same way that My Horses Are Many would be. You know,
I hear that now. I love that.
Little tip of the cap to that, like we wanted to make it as ridiculous as possible. You know, we you know, instead of going back into the same verse that we did at the beginning, like we're gonna write a completely different riff. We're gonna take this in a whole other, not a whole other direction or anything, but down a, you know, little side road, and then we'll hop back on the main road when it drops again. And so this was more of a like organic writing session between Dan and I, you know, than a lot of the other songs. Like, we just bouncing ideas off each other. Like, for the majority of this stuff, like, we wrote it pretty isolated from the other, and then we brought it together, and there were like only tiny little details that we would change, or like structurally we might change, but the overall integrity of the riff would not change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when yeah, I don't know, this song is, I don't know. Like, it was all of that verse build up and the little key modulation as well, just to get to that chorus riff, because I think it freaking slaps. And I love the 4 on the floor. That's how I wanted it to be, to kind of like throw it back into like almost like a Metallica heavy metal vibe, you know. Yeah, this song's a fun song. I mean, the lyrics are pretty angry, you know, and talk about throwing somebody in a landfill, but it's, but you know, it's we wanted it to be a fun song, and I knew the lyrics that I would write to it would probably be a little bit ridiculous, and I figured that I would probably write it about, you know, the prosperity Christianity that I grew up under, you know, and get some things off my chest when it comes to that. So
enjoy this riff and this track. This is such a fun track. I love it so much. This is Holy Coward. Shout out to Tethra as well.
Oh yeah.
Take it with you to roll.
I mean, just what a track. I almost forget I've not heard that track for a while, but that riff. Now you've explained how it like keeps dropping and then picking back up again. It's just, it's a really infectious riff. I love it. I absolutely love it. Up next is a track that, of all like the album tracks, it kind of, I remember especially on that release, it kind of blew up. It was doing incredible. I think it was your most streamed song on release, Dream Thief. Did you expect that track to be as huge as it was in the fandom?
No, we all hated it. I'm completely serious.
Really? Was it?
Well, it's not. We didn't hate it. It's just.
Was it more like, why this one?
Partly. I mean, I think there's. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, partly. Why this one? The chorus in this one is so different. I feel like we took a very, very fast, aggressive approach to the rest of the song, and like, I guess it's weird to me to hear the difference of choruses, because this chorus is very like 2005s, you know? It's like, at least to me, it's like it's like something maybe Haste the Day would have done, you know? Like, and it's just weird to me that it caught, because I thought that, oh, this might come off a little weird. And even upon listening to it, like, in relation to the other songs, like, I like the song. I think that part of my hate that I have in my heart for it would be from the way I felt when I was screaming these lyrics, because so there's a point in all of that stuff that we talked about earlier when we were talking about the fire itself, where I was stocking shelves at like a art store, like a big box art store out here overnight, and coming from, touring consistently and having anything to do with music, and having that, like, I don't want to say it was taken from me. Like, I think that we all made decisions, and that's why it took us so long to get around to this record,
Yeah.
But it felt like, like, oh my God, is this ever going to happen again? Like, are we ever going to do this again? Like,
Sure.
And I started having to ask myself, who am I if my dream is dead? And that's a really hard question.
It
like,
is.
And not to mention in the studio itself, like, I remember my voice was just not, for whatever reason, for the rest of the songs, like, things went somewhat smoothly, some smoother than others, but for this song, it was painful. It was the entire process. I was just messing up left and right. My voice was cracking. My timing was off. I just didn't have it. And I couldn't get around it. I took 2 days on this song, which is not something I'm like stoked about. Like, all of the other songs I screamed in 1 day, and did a chorus for another song in that same day.
Yeah.
But this one took 2 days because of the state of my voice, because I just couldn't. Was doing the same thing as all the other songs, I think, but I was in my head, and like, maybe it's like a thing where, like, I was in my own head, or maybe I was meant to feel it, because I'm I can remember my voice cracking over and over and over again to the point to where like my throat felt swollen as I'm screaming like, who am I, you know, who are you when your dream is dead? And I'm asking myself that question, and I can't do it anymore. Like that's this, it was painful, not just physically, but like emotionally to get through this song. Hey, there's my doggy.
Oh,
Okay.
doggy time.
But
The chat's gonna blow up now. But
but
yeah, I definitely. I mean, it all makes sense now as well. If you have not the best memories tied to the track, the meaning of the track, it's not gonna. Yeah, it's not gonna have happier memories for you. And but
right. I think coming out the other side and seeing how people are react or have reacted to it, that's been really awesome.
yeah,
Because I was afraid that we were putting out the weakest track on the album, and
wow,
people have really latched on to it. And so it's really cool and really encouraging, because there are a lot of different things I feel like, anyways, in this song for us. Um, we're not really a band to do like the. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. Like
sure.
we don't do like the build up to a breakdown and then completely blue ball. We're we're not
That
that band,
that's
like,
why
you know what I
everybody
mean?
loves you.
Like
We know what you know what's coming, and that's the best. That is the best.
like the we're not well no, I'm saying, but we did it in the song. We did it before the second chorus. Everything, it goes through that the syncopated with the kick,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
while doing the blast with the accented China and Isaiah's crazy. Anyways,
He is.
um, goes through that whole thing, and obviously it's without the like vocal call out, but and then it goes into a down chorus, which is something that we don't really do. Like obviously it picks back up halfway through it, but it there are things that like I was talking about the chorus earlier. I was talking about um, just now talking about um, that specific part where it's building up and it builds into nothing, with the hopes that the breakdown at the end is going to hit just a little bit harder because we didn't do it already, right? Um, like really kind of trying to play with dynamics, and this song ended up turning out to be a lot more like melodic and heavy emotionally than I think any of us really uh really expected. And I
Sure.
remember when we were talking with Adam over at Solid State, as far as like singles, he was like, "Oh, okay, guys. So, what songs do you guys want to pick as singles?" And Dan and I listed off "In the Night," "Eternally Apart," "The Fire Itself." He was like, "Really?" It's like, "Yes, 100%." Like, "Oh, well, what do you guys think about Dream Thief?" And we were just like, "What the hell? What do you mean?"
That's so
Um,
interesting.
and uh, it's kind of funny, and I don't mean to like talk crap on the song. That's not what it is. It's just it's a song that we really didn't expect to like to I guess catch on,
I
and
suppose
for
it's
for
kind
people
of,
to latch onto it.
of course, and I suppose it's kind of like a nice ending to all the pain that you had. Maybe with this track, this song is obviously so beloved in the fan base that it's kind of something to look back on and think, maybe there is a good ending, a nice ending with all the pain.
Right. And no, I think you nailed it on the head, man. It's because like that is something I've thought about, where like, I mean, I didn't freaking expect that. Like,
I've got to say, yeah. I mean, I love the track, but yeah, I mean, like, you look, it's 150k more than Thorns. It's like almost double War You Know and Defining Moments, and yeah, it's huge. It's amazing. Let's listen to it then, and again, keep questions, and everybody loves the dog. This is Dream Thief. Again, a lot of love for that track. I think maybe that is why the fan base love it so much, for the pure emotion that is you know, in the chorus and in your voice. Even the scream part's probably the most emotive part for me. You can really tell. Great track. It's so good. Up next, The Storm in Me, and this is the other side to Phinehas that I absolutely love. What can you tell us about The Storm in Me?
The song's hard for me.
Of course.
I don't know what she's doing.
She is gorgeous.
Just say thank you, Ruby.
Ruby, I love you.
The song is hard for me, and it's a little bit of a this whenever I listen to this song, I remember just feeling like drowning, to be honest. Feeling like I am literally going to lose my family. I'm, gonna have whatever split custody a dude like me can have with my son. I was put on an island. There were a lot of situations that came up that was almost pressured into taking sides, like that type of thing. Like, just it's a very hard time of my life.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna be real with you. I think my dog needs to go out.
No, dude, that's absolutely fine. And I think we'll let the song do. Obviously,
I'm gonna take her out if you want. I don't know if that's okay with you. I'm sorry, but she's normally not like this. I took her out not that long ago.
Dude, it's absolutely fine. We'll play.
Staring at me.
We'll play The Storm in Me. You.
All right, I'm gonna take my dog out. I'm so sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I love her.
Pull me out of the water, pull me out of the sea, pull me out of the water, don't let the waves take me. I walked on the surface, I was pulled beneath. Pull me out of the water, pull me out of the sea, pull me out of the water before nothing's left of me. In all of this I've only learned how to sink. Your property was worthless and your threats and down. It's not enough when you're drowning. Waves raise their thunder and send further underneath. I'm not strong enough to calm the storm. It's not enough when you're drowning. Oh, waves raise their thunder. I'm set further underneath. I'm not strong enough to calm the storm in me. I'm swimming with the storm in my heart, watching everything fall apart. I don't wanna drown alone. I don't wanna drown alone in my dark. My lungs are filling till my chest wants to burst. I tried to carry all of this, but I'm at my worst. I thought that I was strong enough to stay afloat, but when the storm rolled in with the bitter winds and waves burst, I don't wanna drown alone in my dark. I'm free fall now into the grip of the void that crushes my ribs. Your promise feels worthless amid threats and doubts. It's not enough when you're drowning. Oh, waves raise their thunder. I'm set further underneath. I'm not strong enough to calm the storm in me. All of the weight I carry inside, every dagger and what's in my mind, pulled under, screaming with the tide, left at the bottom, left behind. In all of this, I have only learned how to sink. I'm not strong enough to calm the storm in me.
Officially the best timed dog walk of all time.
You can't make it up, dude.
Dude, that is
You can't make
literally
this crap up.
that is literally
Yeah, it is. I am so bummed that. Okay, I really want to talk about this song. I'm sorry. Is it okay if I talk about it a little more after the fact?
Dude, absolute. I would love that. Like we were all saying, like I think like I personally believe like dogs are literally the perfect combat. We all thought like Ruby generally thought, let's go out and get some air. She's looking after you. You can tell what this song means to you, and I generally believe that.
You're exactly right. She was like, let's go get some air.
She's like, buddy.
I tell you what, I will poop on your floor. Because, bro, that would have happened. She needed to go, so we made the right decision. Thank you for bearing with me.
No, like, honestly, dude, honestly, look at her getting all settled down now under the light. She's happy. She's happy. Yes, I think Ruby is the most beloved thing I've ever had on a stream. In 2 years, Ruby is queen. Yes, dude. If you want to and you feel up to it, please talk about Storming Me.
So, can talk a little bit about the writing it part.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew we wanted to have a ballad, and we were considering having two slow songs on this album. I still have the other one in my back pocket as well.
Ooh,
but
okay.
we'll save that on down the line.
Nice.
Just we wanted to release, not have too much downtime. We've released three albums at this point with 2 slow songs. And we're just like, just write another metalcore song that ended up becoming Holy Coward. So, anyways, we just wanted it to be vibe focused. The guitar part during the verses, very, very simple. Wanted it to really be about the lyrics, which um, back in 2019, we were out on the road with As I Lay Dying, and we stayed at an Airbnb in Florida. And on our way there, I was laying in my bunk, and it's not often at all that this happens. But okay, a little more context too. When I approach writing lyrics, and just songwriting in general, it is always music first. Okay. And then I go, when I write my lyrics on top of it, it's my job to make you think that I wrote the lyrics first.
Yeah.
Like from a dynamic perspective,
Sure.
like, oh, this, of course it went into a breakdown because the lyrics led me there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of thing. But with this song, it was the opposite. I wrote the lyrics first. And that's not something that has ever happened. So, what ended up, it ended up kind of taking its life, like taking a life of its own, in the grand scheme of things in writing it, because it absolutely ended up relating to what I was dealing with, a year and a half, 2 years later. And so, there are some changed parts, but the skeleton's all there, from sitting in or laying down in my bunk in the van 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, I guess, at this point. So, I don't know. It's interesting to me, just because, like, I was very shocked that it ended up happening that way. But yeah, then there's the vocoder part, which is one of my favorite things that we have ever done. And it's very short, very sweet, just one time through the chorus. But Dan and I had a lot of fun playing around with that.
Yeah.
So I love the entire spectrum of music, from, Infant Annihilator to like Bon Iver, let's say.
That is really crazy, because I literally was thinking in my head, before you said it, that I literally was thinking, yeah, Bon Iver, that's
awesome.
That is amazing. But yeah, you can really tell as well. There's so, sonically, each song has so much range.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, they've always been like that like softer side has always been something that at times in our past records I felt like I've forced,
Yeah.
And I think that that's partly why this one fits so well on this album, is because it doesn't feel forced, because there's not another like sore thumb sticking out on the other half of the record. It's this one, and we devoted all of our, or not all of it, but like I hate that we separate it out where it's like slow songs or just regular songs type of thing.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't change your mindset in writing a song, but we were able to focus a lot more on this one, because we didn't have other slow songs or other slow interludes or other dead space on the album, And I am so, at the same time, every time I hear the last paragraph of lyrics, I'm like devastated inside.
Sure, of course.
I'm devastated inside. I'm very proud of it, because it's exactly how I feel when I think about, uh, and it's still stuff that's going on. Not everything's not everything gets fixed right away. Not everything, uh, you know, with beauty comes pain, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And experiencing beautiful things, or being in a beautiful place, or having a beautiful sun, there's pain that comes
Sure.
with it. And so it's but yeah, um, that last paragraph, all of the weight I've carried inside. Um, every dagger at once in my mind. I can't even remember my own lyrics. This is so bad.
No,
But
it's not, dude. And just like I just again, I know I've said it a couple of times here, but I can't thank you enough. Bands quite often come on and are very personal to what their music or their lyrics or an album process has been to them, but none so much as you have. So I just want to. I mean, I could always tell listening to the album that it's obviously very personal. But thank you so much. You don't need to go into stuff more than you need to, and I'm just very, very thankful that you're being so honest and just incredible about your experience and everything to do with the album. So all the love to you, my friend. Thank you.
well, thank you. No, thank you. I appreciate it. It's a terrifying thing, and it was part of the mindset in like writing this thing, and the whole process front to back was like in my therapy. I needed to be able to communicate what I was feeling, and I needed to give myself permission to feel what I was feeling, because I didn't feel worthy to, you know, uh, it's like I don't deserve to be sad. I don't deserve to be happy. I don't like that, those types of thought processes that were going through my head. And so, um, actually writing it out and forcing myself to feel it, and like forcing myself to like actually, it sounds cheesy, but to like honor my feelings,
Of course.
and to look at the way that I feel, and be able to think like this is valid.
Yeah, it's
You know,
like it's cathartic, isn't it? It's something that
yeah,
in the long run, when you look back on it, is probably going to be super helpful to you, that you said how you were feeling. You obviously wrote an album of it. I think it's amazing. I don't think how many people could do that, and I think that's the great thing about being in a band. And not a lot of people, I suppose, apart from like maybe writing a diary, can do that. So the fact that you can put it into an album so personal, and it's something to look back on over as you grow, is amazing. Honestly, so much respect for you. It's incredible.
thank you, man.
No,
Means
honestly,
a lot.
this album means a lot to me as well, and to everyone. Let's go on to track 9, Severed by Self-Betrayal. Do you want to go into anything on this track?
Yeah. Sorry, I
No, it's
gotta get my mojo back. His
I know
stuff gets intense.
it
So
obviously is a very intense album personally to you. So each track is going to be as, I'm sure it's all time stamped for different. You obviously remember every second of each track recording and where you were at the time, how you were feeling. So I'm not surprised. It's incredibly personal. So just whatever you feel you want to say, buddy.
Yeah, so Severed by Self-Betrayal is, to me, it's about not letting okay, by trying to fit in or trying to maintain status quo when honestly like 100% of the time I feel like uh very anxious in social situations.
Sure.
And it's part of like why this thing is cool and like why Twitch rules, right? Like for at least for like it's something I've kind of latched onto because you can feel, you know, you can talk to a bunch of people, but without like the crowd anxiety or like the like, oh, am I being? I don't know. Like I guess it makes you think about like I don't know. Like I've said some dumb stuff on stream,
No,
you know.
dude,
Like I'm like I'm. It's okay. I'm an idiot a decent bit of the time. Like I can say some really stupid stuff or talk about, you know, how Shrek is bald or like he's just like, you know. But it's a lot different when there's, you know, it's me sitting here and like yes I'm interacting, but it's not like I don't hear the awkward silence or feel the awkward silence rather from a person who, you know, or a group of people who are around me, you know, type of thing. It's just it's a completely different like whatever. Anyways, all that to say, I have felt like I have needed to change myself and like how do I put it? I felt so many times in my life that I have to change myself or change how feel about things or how I present myself to earn the approval of somebody.
Of course.
And there's a lot of guilt that comes with it, and there's like a lot of like feeling. It's weird, man. It's so weird. Like the spectrum of like human emotion, like where there's just certain things that are like paradoxes, but they work within us. Like you ever, you know, not when somebody else is like, this is a hard situation to describe. If you feel guilt when you want to feel happy because, you know, maybe something like came through for you or something like that. Like, God.
I know.
I'm sorry, I'm getting off the rails, but
you're not at all, dude. I completely understand, and just want to obviously echo what you said about like Twitch. I think especially during these last 2 years, which have been so horrible for people that maybe weren't even good in social interactions, it's been so huge. I mean, people I never knew 2 years ago over doing JMR and everything, they're literally best friends now, and met best friends and a best mate, and sorry, I'm kind of backtracking back to your original point, but I completely understand what you mean, and the guilt of feeling happy.
Yeah,
it's a tough one to describe, but I know what you mean. It's yeah,
dude, I'm glad that you're picking up what I'm putting down because I
know what
I'm you know.
You know what?
I don't know. My brain's kind of fried, but I'm trying to get as much out as I can. You know.
Yeah, and to be fair, dude, you really should be tucked up in bed, but you're an absolute hero. You're still here. What is it like? Something past 3 for you? Is it?
It is now. Yeah.
Dude, honestly, thank you so much.
Oh, of course.
What a hero, honestly.
No, man.
Yes.
No, bro. So the main thing is just that when you censor yourself or when you are trying to, I don't know, like I compared it to like me dissecting myself literally and trying to put myself back together to like try and make somebody else happy. And it that never works. It never works to make somebody else happy that way. And B, it just makes you so much more miserable. And that's the thing, is that like in doing that, you cut yourself off from being able to truly feel like happy or truly being able to feel joy. Like all of that, you sever that side of you. And so that's what the song is about. As far as like writing the song goes, this was the second one that Dan sent over, and he wrote front to back, guitars, all of that. Dude's crazy. And the singing takes on this song are like some of my favorite that I've ever done.
Nice. That's so cool.
There was sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that's really cool. Out of the vocal takes you've done, that's awesome. Sorry, dude, go on.
there was a certain point in like tracking the singing in this album where singing became a lot easier than screaming. Which, side note, there is one appearance of my preferred, or one song that has my preferred like tone on the entire album. It's brutal. Like I struggled a little bit with the screaming on this album. I mean, it's been 4 years since I've been in the studio, and probably like a year and a half since touring, and which is very weird when like we literally toured anywhere between 4 to 6 months a year for close to a decade.
Yeah.
And so anyways, but that song with like the preferred screaming tone is The Fire itself. And if you listen closely, I mean it's like a different technique completely. And that was the first song we recorded, and I never found it again.
Wow. I mean, you can tell in just the intro. I definitely thought that on first listening. The intro and your scream does sound like nothing I've ever heard from you before. So, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I would like to say, as a gigantic fan, you sound phenomenal throughout the album. Which, with you telling us.
Thanks, man.
You telling us how much you struggled through it with, not being too happy. I mean, obviously you are happy with the takes, I presume, but you can't tell. You sound, your tone is so like, it's such a strong, like forceful scream. I think you sound amazing, but I definitely understand what you mean. You do sound, like quite unique for you on The Fire itself. So I love that you've explained that.
Thanks, man.
Let's go. This is track 9, Severed by Self-Betrayal.
Cool.
Places of me standard in view.
It's those little ghost notes from Isaiah at the end as well. It's just it's such a good track. I haven't listened to that track in a while actually, and that chorus. I definitely see why you're really really happy with that. It's so good.
Thanks, man.
I love it. I've entered a new plane of existence during that chorus. But you know, if I was in the band and someone says that section of the music made me enter a new plane of existence, I'd be pretty stoked.
That's awesome.
That's final track, but what a track. You must be so proud of this one. Like I put in a comment earlier, last year for me was one of the hardest, and the chorus to this really did it did wonders for me. So this is a very important track for me, especially. But what can you tell us about In the Night?
Well, let's start with like the process of it first. So I was at a week-long solar install, the middle of the mountainous California area, place called Banning, and me and the crew were in like a cabin pretty much because it's right on site, and I ended up tracking my little demo that I sent over to Dan for this song while I was out there. Had a bunch of ideas, bunch of things that I've been holding on to for a couple of years. This song, the specific mode that it is in, kind of like the Egyptian mode or whatever you call it. I guess like music theory wise, it'd be Phrygian.
Yeah.
Which
Born of Osiris kind of.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, I had initially wrote this riff in like a blues scale.
Oh, that's awesome.
Years ago.
Yeah.
For a Dark Flag. So we're talking, beginning of 2017. And I had since adapted it to this new mode. And I was pretty stoked on the riff. I
am not surprised.
But I think the real, like what you're talking about with the chorus, like hitting you hard, like that was, I think, the real like triumph with this song was finding a way to, and if you go back and you listen to Flesh Killer, I think it's along the same lines.
Definitely.
Yeah. And we didn't want to obviously do the same exact thing, so there were a couple of things that we wanted to be conscious of, but also we didn't want to limit ourselves, because if the song called for it, we would have done it, but I think the getting into the chorus and having it be a smooth drop into something that we tried to make it feel as big as possible, but while staying within a raw sound, because now in like the metalcore world, like the way you get something to sound big is you throw like an ambient track in the background,
Sure.
And it just kind of opens up the mix, which I think is really cool, and I think a lot of bands do really, really well.
Definitely.
And I think there's a couple of moments on this record where we do that also, but there's a lot of production stuff that we didn't want to rely on to rely on to get us there, you know?
Yeah.
And not saying we accomplished it or whatever else. I just, we're proud of it. And these are, it's so weird because like Dark Flag 100% had like my favorite screams that I've ever done on anything.
Yeah.
And then this album has my favorite singing on it. And I think that that's kind of the trade-off of like, I feel like I lost out on the scream a little bit, but like not being able to do my normal scream is actually okay because it sounds like it might remind you more of our old stuff.
Yeah.
You know, which is fine because we wanted to you know,
I think this
kind of take you back through it, you know.
Yeah, this album I think definitely encompasses everything that's great about Phinehas through all albums. I definitely hear. I also think that obviously you have a chorus which is, now you've said it, very like does remind me a lot of Flesh Killer, which is definitely one of my favourite Phinehas choruses. But then I also think the breakdown in this is perhaps the heaviest thing, one of the heaviest things you've ever done, which is again the contrast, which in my opinion makes metalcore so great. You've gone for something that's, you know, so melodic and sonically so huge, and then you've got a breakdown again which will politely slap you in the face and then maybe sweet-chin music you over the top rope, and that is what's great about Phinehas and metalcore. So yeah, I do really love this. The 4-year wait was hard as a Phinehas fanboy, but again, you delivered on something that every track reminds you of like all eras really, which I think if you're a band is in metalcore, that's only got to be the best thing for a fan. It's something that reminds you of every album and every sound. Personally, for me, I just absolutely love that. I love that you like paid homage to all your work.
Well, thank you, man, and I'm glad that that's the route we took because
Same.
You know, you stuck with us for 4 years with no new music, so it's you know, so thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, we're doing our best to, you know, get us back there, but remain fresh, and this time around, like, just nail it. At least we were trying, you know. So I think lyrically, this song has to do with a main, you know, a main presence in my mind, pretty much 24/7, and that's fear, you know, and in dealing with the unknown and putting myself out there, you know, and you know, to wander in the dark and not be afraid or have like, yeah, I'll put it like this: like when I was a little kid, I had some nightmares that like freaked me out, and I mean this is in my, you know, 6-year-old self, so forgive me for this, but like, but like, I loved dinosaurs, and then Jurassic Park came out. You know what I mean?
Did that ruin the illusion?
Oh my god, dude! Like, and this still happens, and it's a chase dream. This is a reoccurring dream that I have, where I am on like this massive like jungle grid, okay, and I am playing hide and go seek with the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex is it. And so it's just chasing me, bro.
Yeah, I'm pretty scared.
I'll wake up sweating. Like, as a 34-year-old dude, like, this dream still happens from time to time. Like, anyways, all that to say, like, fear has been there from the beginning of my life, like running down the hallways, like if the hall is dark, like I literally would psych myself out. Like I would think a velociraptor was chasing me, right? Um, anyways, we were again. I'm getting off the rails. I apologize,
No, not all.
um, but no, it's crazy. And as you get older, more things are obviously there are more variables introduced into your life, and we talked a little bit earlier with kind of about like some social anxiety that I have where man, I don't think I talked about this, but like I'll rerun like all of the just stupid stuff I've done in my head, and it just starts this like shame cycle.
Oh, dude, it's the
and
worst. It is the
and
worst.
and it'll make me freeze up to where I just, rather than putting myself out there or like facing that fear or whatever else, like I'll just lock up and I just won't do anything, because then I have, I won't, nothing bad will happen, right? And the answer to that is yes, bad stuff will happen if you don't deal with that fear, you know?
Yeah.
Like, at least when it comes to, me needing to be there for my family and to do what sometimes I'm terrified to do, And so, uh, yeah, I mean, this song's about fear, and it's an old German saying, and if if there's anybody from Germany who's heard this, then, or if you haven't heard this, then say I call BS on you, Sean. That's not a German saying, but the to bring an end with terror or terror without end. And that's in facing your fear. So you can either, have a terror, like, I mean, it's I feel like it's pretty black and white,
Yeah.
like if you're going to face your fear or if you're going to procrastinate, right? You can either bring an end with terror right now and go ahead and face your fear, or you can not deal with it and have terror without end. And that's been a huge theme in my life, where it's caused massive issues, where I've just, the thing itself that I'm afraid of is not snowballing. I'm literally like, well, how can I put this without being so long-winded? I'm sorry for that. You ever hear the saying like, that darkness is like the absence of light?
Yes.
Okay. That's me personally, like physically is like scientifically, is that true? I don't know, but for the sake of like the analogy or whatever, like, and how I've seen darkness in my life, at least, it's had a like an actual active hand. Like, I don't believe that it's just an absence of light. I believe it's an opposing force. I'm not saying that scientifically. I know I'm not a scientist. I don't know any of that. But in this instance of procrastinating is being that opposing force. Like, you're actively snowballing it for you into a gigantic monster that will rule your life until you actually face it. And I mean, it put simply, it's like, you get a traffic ticket and for whatever reason you don't pay it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it keeps
Months down
building.
the road, still haven't paid it. You're actively making it worse.
Yeah.
It's not just that you're not doing anything. So, and then by the time you go try and pay it, it is a full blown like whatever, like with all the late penalties and all that stuff, you know.
It's that's a good way to explain it. Definitely. Let's
Probably should have let off with that, huh? Instead of like this 20-minute long
No.
thing. That's how my brain works, man.
I love the way you try. Like, I love it that you really have into deep dive. I love it. And what I would also love, obviously, I'm not saying it on stream as you're saying you have to do it, but if you would ever like to come back and do previous albums,
Ooh.
I would absolutely love that. I also do something called Album Club where we listen to any album you want, a favourite album of yourself, and just talk about that and why you love it. So if you ever want to, I mean, you have literally given up nearly 3 hours, and that's a lot of beauty sleep. But if I would again be honoured if you want to come and do the other Phinehas albums or anything, or an album of your choosing would be amazing.
Hey man, I'm open to that. I'd like, hey man, I'm trying to be active in chat while I'm watching you do this with other artists as well, because this is super cool what you're doing, man. So
honestly, coming from you, dude, is it's kind of insane. But thank you. Honestly, I can't thank you enough. But more Phinehas, yes. Okay, so if you're down, dude. Also, let's play some Destiny.
Oh hell yeah, bro! Let's do it.
I used to absolutely love Destiny, and you play Hunt. Do you play the Hunter class?
I do.
See, if you just needed to know how cool Sean is, he plays the right class as well. Let's do it before we close out on some words. This is the Insane in the Night. Enjoy. This is warming my cold heart.
Yeah.
Sean, thank you so much, my friend, for giving so many hours of your early morning to sit with us all and be so amazing and honest about what this album process was like, what it means to you, and listening to me blab on like a silly little fanboy. But honestly, my friend, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.
Yeah, it's been a dream, honestly. Thank you. And like I said, in the night, metalcore doesn't get better than that. And I'm sorry, I don't make the rules up, but you have to abide by them. Sean, tell the chat what have you got coming up stream wise? More viewing Shrek's Airline or more Destiny?
So I'm still relatively new to the ins and outs of the technical side of things, but
Same.
I've been doing Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, at around 9:30 Pacific. I don't know what time that is for you guys, but yeah, got that coming up. Okay, you're asking for stream?
Just anything you've got coming up, dude. I was just thinking stream because obviously you're new to it.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. So that's what I do. I play a handful of video games, mostly shooter games, I guess. But it's a lot of fun. Like, I have a great group of friends that I play with consistently, and it's always a lot of fun. So
that's so cool.
A lot of fun, lots of laughs, and yeah. So that's where I'd be.
Awesome. And is there anything you can say on the horizon with Phinehas?
There's potentially. I mean, not anything that I can potentially talk about.
Sure.
But there's potentially some stuff. It's actually kind of pleasantly surprised of a phone call from our bass player who had some cool little tidbits to share. But I mean, yeah, nothing I can. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can talk about. But
no, that's cool. I just thought I'd chance my hand.
I gotcha. So it's been kind of a theme that every 2 albums we'll do an acoustic EP. So
yes.
So we might catch some The Fire Itself acoustic at some point.
Oh, that is the best news. I absolutely love the acoustic. All the acoustic stuff is some of my favourite Phinehas stuff. That is honestly the best news. I'm so hyped about that.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, and I feel like this album lends to that type of,
I want to hear Holy Coward acoustic.
Well,
good luck.
That one would be very hard to do acoustic rendition of.
It would. Eternally
not saying
acoustic.
Not saying it's impossible, but
Yeah, amazing. But, Sean, I will let you go to bed, my friend. Again, thank you so much for your kindness and doing this for me. It's been a pleasure, and I would love if you're available again to do this. And we'll definitely play some games if you're free. I would love that.